Hello, friends. Welcome back to another episode of the Mythical Madam, where eerie legends, shadowy folklore, and long-forgotten truths come to life. I'm your host, June, and today we're diving into a myth that doesn't just creep along the edges of death, it drags us into the very core of the afterlife through judgment, reflection, and the possibility of redemption. Yes, we're going to hell. Literally. Welcome to the Mythical Madam, my little corner of the internet where we sip on a bit of curiosity and wander into the eerie, the haunting, and the beautifully strange. So if you're ready for a little chaos, a little darkness, and yes, plenty of my unsolicited thoughts along the way, get cozy and settle in wherever you are. Welcome to the Mythical Madam podcast, where we share the myths, the mysteries, and oh yes, the mess. I am genuinely so excited to be sharing this story with you, not just because it's one of the spookiest, most layered myths I've ever come across, because it's also deeply personal. It's one of the first stories my mother ever told me when I was growing up, and it's stuck with me ever since. To finally share it with the world in this way finally feels like giving it the reverence it always deserved. Now, before we get too deep, just a quick disclaimer. This story is based on a myth my mother used to tell me when I was a child, something she passed down with reverence, mystery, and just the right amount of fear to make me listen. Over the years, I spent time researching and cross-referencing different versions from Buddhist and East Asian traditions, weaving together the elements that resonated the most. What you're about to hear is shaped by generations of oral storytelling, cultural interpretation, and the way I've come to see this myth through both study and memory. It could be a historical account, we just don't know for sure. But one thing's certain, it's a story rooted in belief, legacy, and deep emotion. And of course, none of this would be possible without the incredible support behind the scenes. A huge shout out to my producer, Lara, and the amazing team at SunFaceMedia. This episode came together with their heart, soul, and audio wizardry, and I'm so grateful for the magic they bring to every story. Welcome to episode 2. Okay, so picture this. You die, flatlined, just kaput. You're gone from this world. Not to be dramatic, but you just drop dead. And instead of this peaceful fade-out moment that you imagine in the movies, like walking into a warm light or meeting your ancestors or whatever, you wake up somewhere that feels like the DMV, but it's not just any DMV. I'm talking supernatural DMV with lava floors, ghost clerks, and definitely no air conditioning. And my friend, you don't even have a number yet. There are 7 trials, 49 days, and absolutely 0 fast passes. You're being judged thoroughly. It's like they're looking at your life's resume. Not by one judge, not by 2. Oh no, you're being judged by 10 kings of hell, each with their own kingdom, each with their own vibe. Just think of it as like Judge Judy meets an underworld warlord. They have celestial receipts, tribunal hearings, mirrors that expose all your deepest lies, rivers of blood, mountains made of knives. It's giving karmic bureaucracy. And I know that sounds terrifying, but also a little iconic. Just a little, no? So today we're going to walk you through the entire journey. We're about to slow things down and really sink into this myth. The 49 days and the 7 to 10 trials in hell, where each twist and turn reveals something about the way we live. And maybe how we ought to. We'll meet the 10 kings of hell, or as I like to call them, the afterlife's council of cosmic consequences. We'll unpack the symbolism, the culture, the punishments, the possibilities for redemption, and what this story tells us about how our actions might ripple beyond this life on Earth. I hope you brought snacks, because we're going to be down here quite a while. Like, maybe go ahead and just grab a blanket, turn off the lights, and get cozy, because we're diving deep into the underworld in all its fury, mirror-filled, terrifying glory. So, you're dead. Yeah, that totally happened. But death in this mythology, it's not a full stop. It's more like the opening credits. There's no sudden flash of light, no harp strumming in the distance. You don't float gently toward like in some animated movie ending. Instead, you wake up in a strange realm. It's neither here nor there. Just imagine it being stuck in limbo. In Buddhist and East Asian traditions, this place is called the bardo. It's like a spiritual layover. It's like being stuck between flights, except instead of checking your gate for the next stop, you're waiting to find out if you're getting reincarnated or dragged into a ghostly court. And you wait for 49 days, 7 weeks, 7 days for each of the 7 trials, each day a chance for reflection, clarity, and spiritual detox. But while you're floating around in this liminal zone, guess what's happening? Your entire life is being reviewed, like a karmic audit, a divine overlook at your life's resume. Every thought, every action, every time you were nice, every time you were petty, every time you talked trash about someone who totally deserved it, but still, the universe was watching. Now imagine there's a giant invisible file being filled up with everything, from the time you helped your grandma carry groceries to the time you said you were on your way, but you were really lying in bed, to the time you saved that spider instead of squishing it. Everything goes in there. And if the file gets too heavy with questionable receipt, ding ding, you're summoned. The bardo doors creak open and a ghostly voice calls your name like you're at the worst DMV ever. And guess who's waiting? The 10 kings of hell. These 10 kings, they're not just creepy bosses in a ghostly boardroom. They're high-ranking cosmic judges. In Chinese, they're called the Shi Wang. And in Japanese, they're known as the Juo. Each of them presides over a specific court in the underworld, known as Diyu. Each one handles a different aspect of judgment. It's basically a divine legal system for the dead, but like way more intense. They've got scrolls on scrolls filled with your deeds, cosmic assistants running around telling your karma, and magical tools that show the truth whether you're ready or not. Think spiritual IRS agents mixed with mythological detectives who have zero patience for denial. You're just standing in front of one judge, and you're getting handed off from court to court like a soul-shaped manila envelope, each ruler flipping through your karmic receipts. And what's wild is that these kings aren't even there just to punish. They're there to reform you, transform you. Each trial is a chance to grow, to see yourself for who you really are, even if it hurts like hell. Literally. These kings didn't just show up out of nowhere either. They evolved from a mix of Buddhist, Taoist, and folk Chinese beliefs. Originally in early Buddhist cosmology, you'd have one ruler in the underworld, like King Yama. But as time went on, as beliefs mingled and deepened, the underworld system expanded. And honestly, it's just more sin, more courtrooms. Remember how I said this was kind of like the DMV but worse? Well, each king rules a very specific department of hell. They specialize. They've got domains like lies, greed, betrayal, ignorance, even being lazy. You know, the greatest hits of human failure. But in just a moment, we're going to walk into each of their courts, trial by trial. You'll meet kings who force you to look into mirrors that will show your soul stripped bare. One will lead you to a river thick with memories of the pain you've caused, and you'll wade through it as if it were your own blood. Another will sit silently in a chamber full of reflections and mirrors, not of yourself, but everyone you've ever hurt. Some trials will feel like therapy, other feels like poetic justice served with a flaming spoon. You might face someone who places your greed in your own hands, only to watch it burn. Another might weigh your soul like it's precious metal, and you'll sit in suspense, waiting to see which way the scale tips. And those are just the headliners. You'll also meet kings of betrayal, of greed, of indifference, each one holding a mirror to a different part of the human experience. Some are compassionate, some are brutal, and some are a little bit of both. Each one offers you a different flavor of truth and a different flavor of reckoning. Okay, so this is where things go from eerie to existential. Each soul must pass through 7 specific trials, and trust me, they're not subtle. This isn't just a lineup of punishments, it's more like an emotional obstacle course designed to peel back every layer of who you are or who you pretended to be in your lifetime. Each of these trials in custom curated by the universe, tailored to hit you where it hurts the most. It's not always about being punished for your crimes. Sometimes it's about being confronted with your regrets or your fears. Or that one moment you've buried so deep in your subconscious that even you forgot about it. Yeah, that moment, it's front row here. These trials aren't exactly linear either. Some souls breeze through the early ones and collapse halfway in. Others stumble at the beginning and then sprint through the rest. But one thing is universal. No one escapes unchanged. You don't walk through hell and come out the same. The question is, who do you become on the other side? Let's go by one, slowly together. Okay, don't cancel me if I can't pronounce the names of these kings. Just give me some grace. I'm gonna try my best. Trial 1 is ruled by King Xun Guang, or in Japanese as Shinkowo. You're ushered into a quiet room, maybe a little too quiet. The king is waiting. He gestures towards an enormous mirror. But this is no ordinary mirror. This is the mirror of karma. And friend, this doesn't just reflect what's on the outside, it shows everything. Not just what you did, but why you did it, how it felt, and how it impacted others. Every thought you pushed down, every selfish impulse you justified, every kind gesture you thought went unnoticed, it's all here. The mirror just doesn't reflect what you did. It shows why, your intentions, the ripple effects, not just your story, but how others experienced you. It's uncomfortable, it's revealing, and sometimes it's kind. This trial isn't about punishment, it's about clarity. And if you face it with honesty, you move on. If not, the journey gets a lot harder. Trial 2 is ruled by King Ju Jiang, or in Japanese known as Shoko. Don't walk into this one, you're dragged. Before you even arrived at the second court, you can hear it, the endless crashing waves, faint sounds of screaming swallowed by water. And when you do arrive, oh, it gets worse. It's a river, wide, red, and very much alive. Not just with blood, but with pain. This is the river of blood, a place for all the harm you've caused, physical, emotional, spiritual. Even the things you brushed off, you walk through it slowly, feeling the weight of it all. You can't float, you can't run, you can only feel, reflect, move forward. And if you do, you leave a little bit lighter. Trial 3 is the Mountain of Knives ruled by King Song-di, or in Japanese known as Soteo. You're standing at the base of a mountain, but it's not your usual snow-capped peak beautiful ski resort. Nope, this one is gleaming, but not because of the snow or the sunlight, but because the entire mountain is made of blades, razor-sharp knives jutting out from every direction. It's like someone said, let's take rock climbing, but make it emotionally traumatic and physically impossible. And this isn't just a metaphorical quote. Every single step slices. Every ledge you grab for tears into your palm. And you just can't stop or sit for a breather because resting means bleeding. This is the trial of betrayal and manipulation. And let me tell you, hell doesn't play when it comes to those two. Every person climbing this cursed mountain has betrayed someone they loved or manipulated someone for gain. And now, they climb. The spirits who make it here are faced with the same pain they once caused. The irony, to escape the agony, to have to keep going through it. There is no shortcut, no cheat code. You think you want redemption? Then bleed for it. But here's where it gets wild. The mountain remembers. Every time you fall, and oh, you will fall, it marks it. And then you have to start all over again. Like day 1, square one, rip your soul out on Groundhog Day. Some spirits are just trapped here for centuries, constantly falling and starting again. Why? Because climbing this mountain requires more than physical endurance. It demands that you confront the betrayal that you committed. You have to look into that pain in the face and own it, accept it. But here's the real twist that really gets me. If you do make it to the top, scarred, shredded, and humbled, you don't just survive, you evolve. The top of the mountain is said to grant clarity. It's a place where the soul is reshaped, transformed, stronger, wiser, and painfully and beautifully aware. It's not forgiveness, it's not a clean slate, but it's more like a second chance, earned through suffering, and maybe even a little grace. And you want to know something else that's eerie? Some say that as souls climb, they begin to recognize the faces in the blades. The people that they hurt, the friends they lied to, the lovers they left behind. Their voices whisper from the steel, not to torment, but to remind, to hold the climber accountable, step after painful step. So if you ever find yourself at the Mountain of Knives, just know this isn't about the punishment. It's about truth. Raw, slicing, unforgettable truth. And whether you make it to the top or not, that part is entirely up to you. Now we're heading towards Trial 4, if you make it, into the Forest of Suicide. This realm is ruled by King Wu Guan or Kokano. Though this forest is not a peaceful kind of silent, not the soft hush of a meadow at dawn or the quiet stillness after fresh snowfall. This is the kind of silence in the forest that presses down in your chest. It's heavy, it's suffocating. The air is thick with fog curling low to the ground like it just doesn't want to let go. And the trees, they aren't standing tall. They bend and twist like they're in pain. Their branches reaching out like arms aching for something that's already gone. This is the Forest of Suicide, and it doesn't rage, it mourns. The souls who arrived here don't face torment from outside forces. The real trial is what's inside. Regret, guilt, the questions that claw at you in the middle of the night. What if I held on just a little bit longer? What if I had asked for help? What if someone had heard me? In this place you walk among shadows, echoes of your own memories, and not just the brutal moments of your ending. This forest shows you the softer things, the moments of love, the people who held you close, who wish they could have done more. Some say the spirits here don't weep. They simply sit beneath the twisted trees, holding pieces of themselves they thought they lost, watching the lives they touch, the warmth that they maybe didn't realize they gave. Because here's the thing about this forest, it's not hell in the way we think of hell. There are no monsters here, no king shouting orders, no boiling rivers or knife-sided mountains. The true torment here comes from within. The hardest thing to face sometimes isn't what others did to us, it's what we believe we did to ourselves. But, and this is important, this trial isn't about endless suffering, it's a chance to forgive yourself. If you can sit with your sorrow, if you can face your regrets without turning away, if you can hold your own and hand through the grief and whisper, "I'm sorry, I forgive you, you did your best," then the force lets you go, gently and softly. Some say the fogs lift just a little, the trees straighten only slightly, and the path forward appears. But if you're not ready, the forest waits, patient and quiet. It doesn't punish, it just simply holds space until you're ready to try again. Because even here, even in the darkest corners of the afterlife, there is a bit of grace. Trial 5 is ruled by King Yanlo or Enmao. It's the tribunal of lies. You're led to a long, narrow bridge. It's called the Nahe Bridge, a passage shrouded in mist, suspended over a void of sorrow. It trembles beneath your feet, not from wind, but from the weight of your heart. If you were deceitful in your life, the bridge might feel it. The truth shifts the planks, and the bridge will collapse. Once you cross, you enter the Hall of Mirrors. No, not the carnival kind that you're thinking. These mirrors are ancient, massive, and terrifyingly still. Don't distort your face, but they reflect your lies. But not just the words you said, the truths you hid, the fake smiles, the time you said, "I'm fine," when you weren't, or worse, when someone else weren't. The things you twisted to protect yourself or to hurt someone else. You stand before King Yanlo. As I said before, his other name is Enmao, stoic, calm, and entirely unreadable. He doesn't shout or scold, he gestures, and the mirrors do the talking. Each reflection isn't of you, it's of the people you lied to, their hurt, their confusion, their anger. Some souls scream and cover their ears, others crumble. Because what's worse than punishment? Witnessing the impact that you try to downplay. If you can acknowledge the truth fully, openly, you pass. But if you cling to the lie, refuse to own it, you lose your voice in the next life, condemned to the silence until you finally choose honesty. It's not about the lie, it's about the courage to confess it. Trial 6 is the fire pits of greed, and it's ruled by King Byung-chang, or Henjul in Japanese. The fire here doesn't crackle, it softly hums. You enter a pit that isn't just glowing red, it's glowing blue. Cold flames flicker around you and light up piles of gold, jewels, deeds, all the tokens of status and power and wealth that you chased in life. This is the trial of greed. It's not just about what you hoarded, it's about what you withheld, who you ignored, who you stepped over, what you sacrificed, relationships, morals, people, for the illusion of having more. At the center of the fire pit is a throne. It's ornate, it's gilded, it's melting. You're told to sit in it. The moment you do, everything you've ever valued, the shiny things, the accolades, the envy, begins to dissolve right in front of your eyes. You reach for them, try to grasp the gold, the glory, but it crumbles into ash, and the flames just get higher. You aren't here to burn for your greed. You're here to understand it, to feel the emptiness beneath the hunger, to see what it costs you and who. If you can let go of what you can't keep, you'll move on. If you cling to the ashes, you'll sit on that throne until it collapses beneath you. Trial 7 is ruled by King Taishan, or Taizen-o in Japanese. The chamber is vast and still. You walk toward a giant celestial scale. Its arms are stretched wide, golden, and perfectly balanced. For now, this is the 7th trial, and arguably the most important. This is the moment of full accounting, the trial of justice, of truth, of totality. One side of the scale is loaded with your virtues, kindness, courage, compassion, humility. Every time you did the right thing, even when it's hard, the other side holds your flaws, your anger, your selfishness, fear, cruelty. But here's the twist. You place the weights. You must relieve the memories and choose which side they belong on. That moment you told a white lie to protect someone, was it selfish or was it kind? The time you gave without expecting anything in return, pure virtue or a hidden motive? You're not just being judged, you're being asked to judge yourself. And King Taishan watches, not in anger, not with pity, but with stillness. He waits as the scales tip slowly. If your virtues carry more weight than your sins, the scale tilts in your favor. And if not, there are 3 more kings who are very, very good at handling what comes next. So you failed. You didn't make it. And I know what you're thinking. Is that it? Nope. This isn't the part where the lights go out and you're done. This is the part where it gets even more intense. Because growth isn't always soft. Sometimes it comes wrapped in discomfort and shadow. And in this realm, when you don't pass the first 7 trials, you're not tossed into some cartoonish pit of fire. You're handed over to 3 more final kings who don't play games. And they don't sugarcoat anything. These final kings, they're not here to punish you just for fun. They're here to deliver the final emotional reckoning. These are the moments when the universe stops trying to nudge you into awareness and instead holds your face up to the mirror and says, look, this isn't about torture. This is about the truth. The kind that can't be ignored anymore. Because these next few trials, they're quiet, they're sharp, and they go deeper than any punishment you faced so far. Let's start with the 8th king. The 8th king is ruled by King Dushi, or Toshio. You entered a chamber with no floor, only mist, and then it begins. One by one, illusions rise around you. There aren't hallucinations. They're memories, and not from your eyes, from the eyes of others. You're watching. No, actually, you're feeling how others felt because of you. That friend you ghosted, you live in their confusion. The parent you disrespected, you feel their heartbreak. The stranger you hurt with a careless word, it cuts deep, this time into you. This is Dushi's domain. A realm not of pain, but of empathy. Radical, forced, unfiltered empathy. It's not about making you suffer. It's about making you understand. You can scream or you can apologize. But then you fall to your knees, but the illusions will keep coming. Not until you feel what you felt fully, completely, can you move forward. Only does the mist begin to lift. Trial 9 is ruled by the 9th king, King Pingdang or Biodo. You find yourself in a small room completely bare, a wooden stool, a screen that flickers to life in front of you, and then the slideshow begins. Scene after scene plays out. Walking past someone who needed help, you choosing silence when it could have mattered the most. You ignoring pain, not because you were cruel, but because you were busy or tired or just didn't think about it was your problem or not. This trial is about missed chances, not evil, but indifference. Pingdang's court is quiet. You're not scolded, you're not screamed at, but the silence, it stings you deep. As the images go on, the moments start to pile up. It's not the big scenes here that break you. It's the small ones. The neighbor you avoided, the friend you left unread, the colleague who needed encouragement and you said nothing. Not because you didn't care, but because you didn't act. And now, in the silent courtroom, you're finally being asked to witness the weight of your inaction. You begin to see a pattern, how the smallest gestures, when withheld, ripple into someone else's suffering. You want to explain yourself, but there's no space for defense. This trial isn't about punishment, it's about presence, witnessing what you didn't want to see before. By the end, your body feels heavier, not from chains, but from realization. You weren't a villain, but you could have been a helper, a friend, a light, and you weren't. This is the harshest kind of punishment, the one you give yourself. And only when you can sit through every frame, you could own it and accept it, does the light finally fade. The 10th king of this trial is King Xuan Lun in Chinese, or in Japanese is King Goro Tenrun O. It's the final courtroom, and it's unlike anything that's ever come before. Not because it's the scariest, not because it's on fire or filled with screaming souls. The horror here is quieter than that. It's the absence of everything. It just doesn't sit in the room. It presses to your bones. There's no echo when you speak, no footsteps when you move. The universe holds its breath. And at the center of this nothingness is the king. He's waiting, watching, and he's silent. The judge says nothing at all. You've had 9 trials before this, 9 chances to confront your actions, to reckon with your choices, to seek growth or forgiveness and understanding. So if you've reached this place, the options may have already been slipping through your fingers, because here, the wheel of rebirth rests in the king's hands. Stories say that the wheels spin on the cycle of life. It moves the soul into the next form, its next journey. So if you stand before him and the wheel stands still, that means the journey stops. There's no punishment. There's no flames, no torment, just erasure. No reincarnation, no return, no memory of who you are, what you loved, or even that you exist at all. I'm talking complete oblivion. It's not suffering. It's a loss of the chance to try again. And that might be the most haunting fate of all. So maybe let's do the work while we're still on Earth. While we have time to show up for each other and for ourselves. Because the scariest thing isn't facing judgment. It's realizing you never even tried. Alright, deep breaths, my friend. You've made it through all of that. You deserve a break. Or maybe a sip of something soothing. Because before you're reborn, before you get another chance at life, there's one last stop. You arrive at the bridge of rebirth, and there she is, waiting at the edge of the river, the goddess Meng Po. She's calm, gentle, the kind of looks like the mystical tea auntie you wish you had in life. She doesn't judge, she doesn't ask questions, she simply offers you a bowl of her legendary tea of forgetfulness. It's brewed from the river of oblivion, where every drop holds the power to erase your past. This tea doesn't taste like revenge or punishment, it just tastes like mercy, like a reset, a clean slate. And once you drink it, everything fades. Every joy, every sorrow, every lesson, every trial is gone. Some say there are people who have avoided drinking this tea, and this emerges in little children where they have memories of their past life. Just a little fun tidbit for you. You're no longer the soul who climbed mountains or knives or stood in the judgment under 10 kings. You're just new. You're a baby soul stepping into the world without the burden of memory. And some say that's the only way rebirth works. To live fully, you have to forget. That holding on to the pain keeps us bound, but letting go sets us free. So sometimes I wonder, what if you could remember? What if you carried just a whisper of your former self, a flicker of deja vu, a kindness with no reason, fear with no name? Maybe that's karma, or maybe that's the echo of a soul who's walked this path before. So you sip. The tea is warm, it's soft, and it slips down very easily. And just like that, you're gone. Reborn, washed clean of memory, but shaped by a path few ever remember walking. And just like that, our descent into the underworld comes to an end. We've walked through the fog, faced the judges, climbed the knives, drank the tea, and hopefully walked away with a little more clarity, or at least a better appreciation for karma. Whether you believe in this journey literally, metaphorically, or just enjoy the eerie vibes, I think what really sticks with me is this, the idea that every action counts, that our lives ripple forward in ways we can't always see, that judgment isn't always cruel, and sometimes it's reflective, and sometimes the hardest part isn't punishment, it's seeing yourself. So the next time you find yourself in a moment of choices, big or small, maybe think about the mirror, the river, the scale. Would you pass? And above all else, be kind, be thoughtful, because every act of compassion is a mark on your soul. And trust me, the universe is watching. Maybe also, hug your grandma, call your friends, tell people you love them. Say sorry when you're wrong. Try to do something good today, because that tea might be coming, and when it does, wouldn't it be nice to forget with just a little peace? Until next time, my ghostly gang, I'm June. This has been the Mythical Madam. And you just survived the 49 days and 7 to 10 trials in hell. Take what you've learned, hold it gently, and walk forward with kindness. You've earned your peace. Now carry it with hope and let it light the way ahead. If you've enjoyed this myth or this story, please consider sharing it and subscribe on Substack if you can. And if you have any comments or suggestions for the next episode, I'd love to hear from you. Until then, see you next time. If you enjoyed this episode, please let me know and leave a review on Apple Podcasts. And make sure to leave your comments if you're listening on Spotify. Don't miss out on a single episode. Episodes dropping bi-weekly, so make sure to subscribe on the show on Substack at Mythical Madam and my YouTube channel. The Mythical Madam is produced and edited in partnership with Lara at SunFaceMedia.com. I'm incredibly grateful for the collaboration and support in bringing these stories to life. All of this and more linked in the show notes. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time.